Hello, I am very happy that I was able to grade your assignment on the palliative care scenario for CHW 140. I just wanted to say that overall, I felt that you did very well on this assignment. I thought that it seemed like you had a thorough understanding of this assignment, and I could tell that you were really thinking about it and putting a lot of deep reflections into it. So I decided to give you a grade of 20 out of 25 possible points on this assignment because I did feel that overall you understood it very well. And I just thought there were some areas that you could have covered a little bit more than what you did, but I still felt your understanding was very good. The first thing I wanted to comment on is the introduction paragraph that you put at the beginning of the paper. I really liked how you did that. It wasn't required for the assignment, but when I was reading through it, I really felt that helped me to get a clear understanding right away of the direction that you were going in to answer all the questions. It gave me a nice, concise summary of what you were going to be saying. Because you did this and it helped me so much, I want to give you an extra point for doing that, especially since it was not required for the assignment. As for the questions, with question number 1, I want to give you 4 out of 4.5 points for that question. I thought all the resources that you mentioned for that question were excellent. I could tell that you thought of a lot of resources right away. You thought of resources in answering that first question that I did not think of until I got much later into this project, as the questions were requiring me to think of more. I liked how you listed a lot of general resource categories. However, I did feel that you could have been more specific with this question. Your answers really left me wondering, what are specific support groups and respite care options? Now, this really is kind of tricky because I feel like there's a word in the rubric for this question that could be interpreted differently, and that word is the word sources. What does the rubric really mean by the word sources? When I read that word, I thought that what the rubric was asking for was to actually list online or research sources of some type to back up this question. I noticed you did not do that, but you did mention a lot of sources of information that you could go to. So basically, I felt that in a way you did do what the question was asking for, because the question could have been interpreted in a couple different ways, and I felt the way you interpreted it was still accurate. As for question 2, I want to give you 3.8 out of 4 points for that question. You almost entirely covered what that question was asking for. You thought of questions that Ralph and Steve would ask that I did not think of. For example, you thought of them asking about what would treatment options be for Ralph, and I did not think of that. That would definitely be something that they would be wondering about after their first meeting with the doctor. The only thing I thought you could have done slightly better with this question was you could have just delved into their current health literacy and current knowledge of ALS a little bit better. The prompt did mention that they had been given a pretty good, at least basic understanding of ALS from the doctor. So knowing that, you could have kept that in mind and thought, okay, what would more so someone who already has a basic knowledge of ALS be wondering? For question 3, I want to give you 2 out of 3 possible points for that question. You gave a thorough answer to the question, but I felt that you did not give any example to enhance or back up your reasoning, at least not really that I could see. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit clearer, stronger example there. For question 4, I want to give you 2.7 out of 4.5 possible points. Your answer did explain when, how, and why you would start the conversation about palliative care with Ralph and Steve, but I thought you could have elaborated on this more. Your explanation of the steps you would take to talk to them about this was sort of an example, but I would have liked to have seen you explaining exactly what you would have said to them, or just somehow giving some more really concrete examples to back up your answer. For question 5, I want to give you 2 out of 4 possible points for that question. You had great ideas there. Again, this is kind of a pattern with you throughout this whole assignment. I thought you had really great ideas. So I could tell you were really thinking about this. I just thought you could have enhanced your ideas a little bit further, especially with this question in particular. You mentioned these ideas, but I just would have liked to have seen you be a lot more specific with giving actual sources that you'd heard about or found online. This kind of left me wondering how much research you did for this question. In the rubric, it really seemed like this was asking for you to do research into sources that you could refer them to. And I didn't see any clear evidence that you had done research for this, except for possibly the fact that you did have references at the end of your paper, but I noticed you did not put any in-text citations anywhere in your paper. So I really did not know where or how you had used those references in your paper. Finally, for your grammar, I would like to give you 4.5 out of 5 possible points for that. All the grammar and punctuation throughout your paper were great. I didn't see any issues. The only problem that came was with your references. Again, as I was saying, I did not notice anywhere in your paper where you had done any in-text citations of those references. And then I also noticed that you did not have the word references centered in the page, and that in APA 7th edition format, that is supposed to be centered. I also noticed that none of your web pages were italicized, and those are supposed to be italicized, and that you also consistently cited your website before you cited the web page title. For example, one of your citations was a web article called About ALS, and that was from the website ALS Association. The title About ALS should go before the web page, which is the ALS Association. And that is how it should be in the APA 7th edition format for all of your sources. And you did it in the reversed order for all of your sources. Basically, though, that's all the feedback that I have to give you. Overall, I felt you did very well. I could tell you were really thinking about this. And I would have just liked to have seen you giving a little bit more concrete examples and clearer sources of information in this assignment. So that is why I feel that you deserve 20 out of 25 possible points for this assignment, which will give you a B for this assignment.